Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to present our investigation project. So the topic is interference of Spanish vowel system in the pronunciation of English vowels in students from Oral Communication 3. Our general objective is identify the interference of Spanish vowel sounds done by students from Oral Communication 3 and the effects of these vowels in English production. We have three specific objectives. The first one is analyze the differences between both vowel systems to understand the interference regarding students' pronunciation. The second one, detect the major areas of trouble related to vowel sound interference made by the students to detect the most affected English vowels in their system. And the last one, point out at the solutions students implement in improving oral production to describe the techniques applied by them. We also did three questions for the study. The first one is, what are the differences between Spanish and English vowel systems? Then the second one, what are the most common mistakes related to vowel sounds made by the students? And how do students face mistakes regarding vowel sound production? The introduction of our investigation is based on these three aspects. The first one, pronunciation and placement. So, as we study pronunciation and placement, we start noticing important differences among languages. The interference of L1 helps to determine similarities and differences between sounds and more specifically vowels. So, according to Garita Gonzalez and Solis in 2019, having accurate pronunciation when communicating in a foreign language is fundamental in order to transmit the intended message with clarity and avoid misunderstandings. Then the second point is the difficulty to adjust to a different vowel system. For example, for Spanish speakers, it is really difficult to adjust to some of the English sounds. In this case, because they are completely different and probably the tone position is different and complicated as well. So, according to Garita Gonzalez and Solis in 2019, Spanish speakers try to substitute the sound that they do not know for one that approaches to that phoneme in their native language. And finally, the purpose of our investigation focused on the sound of vowels. So this investigation is based on specifically how the interference of Spanish vowel sounds done by students can affect the production of English vowels. And also, another intention is to detect the major areas of errors of English learners and finally point out some solutions for that interference.
Okay, guys, now I'm going to talk about the literature review. In this case, we are going to focus on strategies to improve pronunciation. You know that learning a second language can be challenging, and for that reason, it is important to look for strategies that help us improving the learning of the second language. In this case, Wei in 2006 mentioned some techniques or strategies to improve pronunciation. The first one is self-monitoring, that students can learn to self-monitor their pronunciation to improve. Also communication activities, that basically is design activities for the students to practice specific sounds. Also explanations on how to produce sounds or use pronunciation patterns appropriately. The utilization of known sounds, comparison with the student's first language may help some students to produce a second language pattern. Also, communication strategies, because students can be taught some useful communication strategies which will help them give the impression that their pronunciation is better than it really is. Also, using songs, games, and tongue twisters can increase the students' motivation in a pronunciation class. Also, motivation is a highly significant factor in pronunciation. Moreover, Sardegna in 2011 wrote 6 more strategies that we can use to improve our pronunciation. The first one is privacy, and it's basically to find a place to work in private, oral practice on how to link the sounds, speech monitoring, that is to evaluate the accuracy and fluency of your production as you read the phrases aloud many times, comparing the performance with other models, that is basically to compare your production to a recording of a text, for example, changing the performance to match the models. And this is basically after consulting a source or a model, we have to make all the necessary changes to improve our pronunciation. And the last one is practicing the changed performance aloud until fluent. It's basically about practicing the changes by reading aloud the phrases a number of times and monitor your performance while you practice.
Another important aspect of our literature review is the contrast between American English and Spanish vowels. This, according to JESC in 2016. So, Spanish contains only 5 vowels, 2 of which are front, E and E, 1 central, A, and 2 back, O and U. Unlike English, Spanish does not contrast tense and lacks vowels. Then, the American English vowel space is divided into 5 categories: high, mid-high, mid-low, and low, and 3 based on the lateral movement of the tongue, front, central, and back. And even though the Spanish vowel system also categorizes sounds in front, central, and back groups, it has only 3 vertical sections: high, mid, and low. And the small differences between English tense lax vowels often result difficult for many L1 Spanish learners of English.
About the methodology, this is a mixed method research and will take place at the University of Costa Rica, specifically in Paraíso campus. The sampling of the population was chosen by convenience due to the accessibility and proximity of the subjects. The instruments will be questionnaires and surveys via email or different platforms like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms. 8 second-year students from the English teaching major will be chosen, 4 to do the questionnaires and 4 to do the surveys. Okay guys, finally here you can find the references that we used, and this would be all for our presentation and our research. Thank you so much for your attention.